Good morning. I hope you're back in the swing of things again. I've been meaning to share with you my outlook for the next decade, particularly not just for 2020, but for the next decade. And that is that I believe the internet is becoming increasingly free for the consumer. The internet will become increasingly free for the consumer. I went for a jog this morning and I was able to shake loose 7 factors that support my outlook, and I wanted to share them with you right before driving off. Before I forget. So here we go. 7 reasons why I believe the internet is becoming free for the consumer. Number 1, mobile data rates are falling. Revenue is unbundling from traffic, meaning traffic, while revenue remains flat, traffic levels are growing at an extraordinary rate. And that's because operators are dropping their mobile rates to drive up subscription. Number 2, operators are experimenting with the elasticity of offering free services on a regular basis. They include zero-rated services as part of their prepaid bundles as well as part of their contract bundles, and they're learning from it and building from it. Number 3, the regulator here in South Africa, ICASA, is putting pressure on the mobile operator to provide zero-rated or free packages for low to middle income consumers. And as background, the predominant internet consumer in South Africa is a mobile internet consumer using a smartphone, consuming and purchasing prepaid bundles 5 to 6 times a month, and only consuming the data when they need it. They don't lie around in the bed in the morning or in the evening reading online articles. They don't have the data for that. Number 4, an increasingly larger share of the cost of internet provision is borne by the platforms, the over-the-top service providers, the content providers, and I mean social media and advertising. These large companies and platforms are investing in larger shares of the infrastructure between their core data centers where our data is hosted and the data centers where the content distribution networks temporarily cache the content closer to us in the countries we live, in the regions we live. And as a result, a smaller share of the internet is actually being transferred directly back to the consumer via the ISP and the last mile provider. Number 5 is revenue. The largest and most valuable companies in the world built that value on revenue generated from selling access to the consumer. The consumer is the product, and that revenue is substantial and large enough to pay for the provision of the remaining portion of the internet mile, so to speak, to the provider, to the consumer. Number 6, there are platforms that are being developed as we speak. Quibi is an example, that are mobile oriented, low bits of data, low bits of content that is made available on mobile on a regular basis, that's interesting, that would be consumed regularly. This is a very affordable type of platform that can easily absorb the cost of internet provision. It's an ideal platform for the outcome and scenario that I'm describing. And 7th point, lastly, the research that we've done over the last 18 months, our startup, has built and demonstrated a business model around the provision of zero-rated content, reverse bill content. I've been doing a lot of programming and server development and access to APIs and CDNs. We provide access, zero-rated and reverse bill access to content hosted around the world to consumers here in South Africa via their mobile devices, and we reverse bill that cost not to the consumer but to the content provider. And we found that the revenue model and the business model is strong enough to support that. So I've been here for 7 years, from 2012, came here to Cape Town on a project funded by Google to look at using TV channels for Wi-Fi, and then got into internet for education, and like I said, we've been doing research over the last 18 months as our startup, looking at reverse billing and specifically developing a business case for providing internet to the consumer for free. And so these 7 points I've laid out to you are based largely on my experience over the last 7 years, and I hope that you find it interesting and that you would comment below or send me a direct message. This is Arno Hart signing out from Cape Town.